200 miles away, Greg's best friend and colleague, Peter Blinston, waits for him to return. Together they run a conservation project dedicated to saving the African painted dog, one of the world's most endangered species.
We have this same passion for the dogs. We have a lot of belief in each other's abilities. And that just comes through at the end of the day.
Peter, phone call please.
And the phone rang. I just felt nervous. This kind of sense of something's wrong.
Yeah, Peter.
It was Norman English, he's the warden over at Cinematella. He said, Greg's missing. People talk about this kind of cold hand or something that grips you, but I really did just go like icy cold. I was then thinking, I have to find him.
The head warden of Cinematella Wildlife Refuge, Norman English, organises a search and rescue party. The park is over 700 square miles. He and Greg's best friend, Peter, can only start looking for Greg where the rhino he was tracking was last sighted.
Did he radio in at any point?
Nah, no radio contact at all. But he was searching up near where the rhino were last sighted.
The rhinos are tagged, right? If we find them, we find Greg.
Greg took the only tracking device we have with him.
Without a tracking device, Peter and Norman have no way of knowing where Greg's plane crashed.
I was sure that he was alive, but you know that you've not got much time. Almost as each minute passes by, of course, you're becoming more and more concerned.
What about an aerial search?
Already started. Pilot from Victoria Falls came up in his Cessna.
I was thinking, we have to find him. Even if you've survived the crash, there's animals, there's wildlife that can kill him. The chances of him surviving are getting slimmer and slimmer.
With daylight fading, the search pilot will soon have to return to base. There's still no sign of Greg or the wreckage.
I heard the plane. And then I started to get almost excited. And then I thought, no, I'm still a needle in a haystack. They had an area to search of about 1,000 square kilometers. And I wanted to scream, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Hello! Hello! I almost wanted to will the plane in, come my way, I can hear you, please. Hello! And then there was silence. I remember that silence now so well. It was killing. Nothing is going to happen now until tomorrow morning, at the very earliest. And I've got to start thinking about the night. And of course, as a biologist, the night is always a dangerous time anywhere.
It probably won't help much. I'm just going to take the Land Rover out, see what I can find.
There's no way you're going to find him in the dark. We don't want to lose you too.
I won't be long. I'll be back soon.
I suddenly came to the harsh realization that there's not much left of me. I'm a mess. And I actually, at that point, I thought, do I really want to carry on? Did I want to live, or did I want to die?
As the night closed in, it was an awful feeling. It was really awful. was trying to imagine what it would be like for him now, still being out there.
I thought about my life, and I thought, well, I've had a good life. I have achieved. I was suddenly, for a very short period of time, I was at total peace with myself. I wasn't afraid of it. I wasn't afraid of that death experience. I suddenly realized that I had it in me, the power to just switch off and just let myself go.
People started to voice their doubts that he was now alive. I was thinking about what they were saying, and for a moment, thinking maybe they're right. But I wouldn't hear that. Greg wouldn't give up, and neither will I.
And then I suddenly thought about the dogs, what amazing animal that had become my sort of whole raison d'etre. And I thought, but there's a hell of a lot more I can do. And from that second, it was like, right, the fight is on. At that point, there was just such a kick in me that it was like, I'm going for it, and I'm going to make it. And I'm not going to, if I do die, I'm going to die fighting this right to the bitter end.
Night comes on very quickly in Africa, and with it a blanket of darkness that provides cover for the predators.
Are you all right?
Yeah. Thanks, Norman.
Peter, the men feel like Greg may not have made it.
You'll get through this. He's a stubborn bugger.
Yeah, well, you know him better than they do. They, don't think there's any point in him going out again tomorrow.
He's alive, okay? You know Greg. He wouldn't give up. I won't either.
I'll talk to the pilot and the others, see if they can give us another morning at least.
Thanks.
It was very frustrating waiting for the daylight to come. I contacted our office. We had 15 people that could come over and help with the ground search so we could cover a wider area. And they were there. They came. Ready and waiting to help with the search.
I watched, looking for the sun to come over the horizon. And when it finally did, I felt these rays coming all the way towards me. And it was an amazing experience. I suddenly felt wonderful. I was bathed in light and heat and warmth. I felt secure for a moment. And then the harsh reality dawned on me that it was that sun, that burning, was going to continue and it was going to kill me.
At first light, the spotter plane sets out again. It'll make a systematic search of the places where Greg's plane might have crashed. At Peter's suggestion, Norman is on board.
He knew the area better than anybody. I really felt strongly that if anybody was going to find Greg, it would actually be him.
The additional members of the search team fan out, but they're still looking in the wrong area. It's been nearly 24 hours since Greg crashed, a deadly amount of time to be out in the African bush injured and unarmed.
You know, I was beginning to doubt if he'd survived.
Greg has a global positioning system, yet the technology is useless if he can't tell anybody else where he is. But every time he turns it on, it records the exact time.
I was checking on the GPS, trying to get the coordinates and times. And then I suddenly had this horrible feeling that this GPS was almost acting like a record of when I was still alive and when I died. If I was dead when they arrived, Peter would pick up the GPS and he'd look at it and think, oh my God, he was alive at, I don't know, 11:40. And it's now 12 o'clock, and if only we'd... And he'd have been left with this eternal guilt. And I almost wanted to destroy the GPS at that point.
Norman to Peter, can you read me? Over. Norman to Peter, can you read me? Over.
Receiving.
There's nothing from up here. Even an elephant can merge into this landscape. We're going to try another area.
On a hunch, Norman decides to go back and check along the beginning of the route that Greg would have taken. Nearly 24 hours has passed, and Greg's body is desperate for water.
I managed to grab a piece of the broken windscreen. I had this mad idea to see if it would collect moisture. And then I heard this plane. And when I heard the plane get louder and louder, I thought, right. I was going to try to see if I could get something out of that radio. Basically, it was all I had left that I could think of. Even if it gives the weakest signal, it's worth a try. And I gave it all I'd got. I remember it now.
Mayday. This is Zulu Mike Echo Bravo calling Mayday.
And then my position is
20 miles east-northeast, Cinematella. Mayday.
I thought I heard the plane get louder. And I thought, it's worked. And I gave myself almost an elated sort of feeling. But that's because that's what I wanted to hear. I knew I was lying to myself. Mentally, I had to stay with it. Because if you get into depression, that's it, the game's over.
Not knowing whether he's imagining the search plane or if it's really there, Greg grabs a piece of his wreckage, one of the struts, hoping it will reflect the light and be seen by the plane above.
Mayday, all search parties. We've located the wreckage 40 miles south of the main search area. No sign of Greg.
I was trying to keep up the dream that they had really seen me. But I realized I had to keep telling myself this lie. Because I did know that I was reaching the point of no return. if they didn't find me soon, I was going.
We can't land. I repeat, we can't land. We're going to have to go by road. Meet back at the base camp immediately. I repeat, meet back at the base camp immediately.
I felt numb. I wanted to see, you know, what was there. I wanted to see Greg. I wanted to just get to the site.
He's here, south of the road. The rhino's obviously moved.
Okay, let's move it.
Peter, I didn't see any sign of life. I don't know if it's a good idea that you come.
I need to see him.
I was really afraid. You're just thinking, okay, we've found him, but we don't know what we've found yet. And you imagining all sorts of horrors.
And then I heard these footfall. I can't describe. Of course, I knew what footfalls those were. And among them was Peter. And I suddenly looked and I couldn't believe it, that was him. I couldn't even speak to anybody. And people were just saying, what happened? And I just had to say, wing, stall. And that's all I could say.
It was really overwhelming. He'd survived. And it was sort of affirmation of my belief in him.
The feeling that I wasn't going to die was just indescribable. I'd fought this and I'd won.
And somebody came up, I hadn't got a clue who it was. Someone put their hand on my shoulder and said, "You're in safe hands now."
Since the accident, Greg has undergone more than 100 operations to save his legs. Through grit and sheer willpower, he has learnt to walk again.
Of course, you don't go through something like this without there being change in who you are. I always treated life every day as precious, but it's even more precious now. I still am dreaming of that day when I go back to Africa, back to the smells, back to the sunrises, the sunsets, and most importantly, the painted dogs and wildlife conservation.
Greg has indeed returned to his beloved dogs. He continues his conservation work alongside Peter and has never flown an ultralight plane again.
yelling something to me, I'm yelling back to him. I yell at him, I'm going to get help. I'm assuming he can hear me. He's probably assuming I can hear him. We really can't hear much of anything.
I mean, at the time I was so focused on the pump, I wasn't focusing in on the fact that he essentially was abandoning me. I can't see Saul anymore. He's gone. He's just not there. You don't leave your buddies. You don't leave your friends behind. I love the guy, but he left me.
I was just applying as much speed as I could. Just crank it. The faster you can get to somebody to get them to help him, that's the only thing that's going to work. I'm very aware of two things. The current is moving Larry further and further away. We got darkness at 3:30, quarter to 4, 4 o'clock in that range.
I need to phone. I need to call 911. This big wave just cracks down and everything stopped. One moment I'm here in this boat full of water, and a second later I'm outside the boat treading water, just like that.
Less than an hour before dark, Larry is in the middle of the 3-mile-wide Rosario Strait. The tidal current is sweeping him away from land and into open water.
I'm starting to have some self-doubt. Did I make the right decision? Where is Larry? Is Larry alive? Did I just consign my friend to death?
His kayak contains vital supplies, fresh water, flares, and a flashlight. But Larry can see the shore, and it doesn't look far. What he doesn't realize is that if he swims, he'll be fighting against a current moving twice the speed that the fastest human can swim.
At some point, I'm gonna have to leave this boat, because I'm going nowhere with this boat right now. It's getting me zero. I'm gonna swim.
It's been an hour since Larry capsized. Now, a full-scale rescue operation is underway. But without the lights or flares from his kayak, Larry is all but invisible.
I wish I would have grabbed the flashlight I had taped to the bow of my boat, which I didn't do. If I would have grabbed that flashlight, I probably would have been saved in half an hour. I'm looking around, and I can see kind of, boats out there. They're like crisscrossing back and forth.
Help! Help me! Here! Hey!
And I started thinking, I bet they're looking for me.
Help!
I must have looked like nothing in the water to these people.
Hey, over here! Here! Yeah! Help me! Here!
I'd go down on a swell and come up. They're always just right back, searching where I just was. not only was I a small person in a very big place, I was also a very vulnerable person in a very, very big place.
Several miles away, a rescue team is scanning the shoreline in the hope that Larry might have made it to one of the islands.
Bravo 6, we have a visual on a red kayak on Burroughs Island.
As soon as I heard that they were, that they'd spotted the kayak, it was just happiness. It was like, oh, great, Larry's fine. He's there, he landed the boat.
Is there a paddle with the boat?
Affirmative.
So he paddled it onto shore. Any gear with the boat?
Negative, empty.
No sleeping bag, dry bag, nothing.
Correct, the boat's empty.
Great. He's on that island somewhere.
What more clues could you need? I mean, paddles with the boat, sleeping bag's gone. The guy's alive. He's somewhere here in the bushes. Just got to find him.
Yes!
You've never seen somebody so excited in his life at this point. I'm happy. I'm going, good. This is a good time to call his parents and let them know what's going on.
Mr. Kaiser? Yes, it's Saul Canderas. I don't know how to tell you this, but Larry, he's going to be okay. We think he's on an island somewhere, probably in the woods.
The Coast Guard now concentrate on searching the island. But out to sea, Larry is still swimming hopelessly against the current.
I'm in trouble. I'm being sucked with the current down a channel. I could head out to the Pacific here anytime. I saw a buoy off to my right. I'm thinking, I'm gonna see if I can maybe latch onto this buoy and not get dragged out to the ocean. Kind of put my head down, I started swimming again. I started kind of cutting diagonally across to get to the buoy. Head down, swimming away. I'd look up to kind of see where I was going. I was already past the buoy. The current has got me by the balls here right now, and I'm being pulled this way. And that's when everything changed. It went from survival, I'm big, strong swimmer, I'll get across, to, I'm not gonna get out of this.
8 hours since he capsized, Larry is nearly 4 miles out to sea. But the Coast Guard are still searching the island where they found his boat. Because they found a paddle with it, they assume he must have paddled to shore. What they don't know is that Saul equipped the kayak with a spare paddle.
Our best hope is that he'd be on the island right now.
Yeah, he paddled here. He left a red paddle with his boat.
Did you say red paddle?
The red paddle's the storm paddle. It's tied to the boat. The boat with nobody in it would still have the red paddle.
Did you say red paddle?
Yes.
No black and white paddle?
No.
Are you near the boat?
Yes.
How many holes are in the top of the boat?
2, 1 for each person.
No, it's a one-man kayak. That's the storage hatch. Is there anything in there?
Yes, there's gear in here.
A dry bag with what feels like clothes and maybe a sleeping bag.
He's not on the island. Damn it!
At this point, I'm really going, man, we're in trouble. I really screwed up. He's dead and we're going to find the body. You realize that somebody that you're fairly close to is no longer here, and you're the one that killed him.
Just an incredible sense of no hope again. Just no, it's all over. It's all over. Why did I invite him on this trip without making sure that we're both ready for this trip? It's almost like saying, what the hell was I thinking?
Yes, Mrs. Kaiser? It's Saul Kinderis. I'm sorry to call you so late.
It was the hardest phone call I've ever made. It was nothing that in my life I'd ever expected myself to have to do was call somebody and say, hey, I just went out with your son and did something, and as a result of doing something, he's dead. You know, I took your son out, it was supposed to be fun. I got him killed.
Shortly after midnight, the Coast Guard call off the search. They assume that in the morning, they will be looking for Larry's body.
That's where I made that decision to try to, so I say, my own sorry. But as I'm continuing down, I can see this lighthouse coming off to my right as I'm coming up on it. And it seemed like I'd gotten a little closer to land from where I was at. I was in the middle of the channel when I first started. And I kind of came to this lighthouse, and it looked closer. And I'm thinking, I could maybe get that. I can maybe swim for that.
The tide is sweeping Larry towards the Pacific. But by sheer luck, a side current carries him within striking distance of the last available piece of dry land.
I start swimming, and it's getting closer. And keep swimming, it's getting closer and closer. I'm like, I'm gonna make this. My God, thank you. Thank you, Lord. I come up onto shore, and there's this big rock right there, and I just swim up and put my arms around this rock. This is the most beautiful rock I've seen in my life. That's all I could think of. No one else, nothing else, just lie there and enjoy this rock. This stupid rock that was my buddy at the time. A feeling of relief. Everyone knows what relief is, but if you've ever been in a situation where it's literally life and death, and you feel that you've cheated death that one time, it doesn't get much sweeter than that.
Larry Kaiser has survived 9 hours in a freezing ocean. Now, exhausted and dehydrated, he faces an even more desperate fight to stay warm on land.
I'm cold. It's dark. I have no idea where I'm at. I thought about, what the hell is Saul doing right now? What's he thinking right now? What is this man thinking? Is he thinking that I'm dead? Is he thinking he killed me? Is he thinking he's responsible for killing me? The big difference between him and I is there's just not a chance in hell I would leave someone like that. I wouldn't do that, no matter what happens. If the person I'm with is going to die, I will die with them.
4 hours ago, the Coast Guard assumed Larry was dead and called off the search. Saul is haunted by his decision to leave his friend behind.
It wasn't an easy decision to say, hey, I'm just going to leave Larry. It was a survival decision. The key for my survival and even his survival was that I make it to shore and get help.
Mike? Mike?
What?
What time in the morning did they start the search again?
We did what we could, okay? You did what you could. Nobody's gonna blame you.
What time?
I don't know. Probably first light, 5:15.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Larry assumes he's on the mainland. Now in daylight, he thinks he can walk to the lighthouse he saw the night before and get help.
At that point, to me, in my mind, absolutely the worst was over. There's no way I'm going to succumb to anything within the next, 24 hours or something like that, unless a bolt of lightning comes down and nails me.
As time went by and we hadn't found Larry, I had more and more doubt as to whether or not I made the right decision. Not only did you get your friend killed, but it's proof you're a failure. Can't you do anything right?
Is there anybody here? Hello? Is anybody there?
The lighthouse. It was uninhabited. Everything I do is not the right decision.
Hello?
At that point, I felt like I was floating in a dream or a nightmare. Hope has been slowly draining away, and feeling really depressed. I got him killed. Nobody else got him killed, I did.
At 11:35 a.m., a rescue helicopter spots Larry and rushes him to the Ana Cortez Hospital ER.
Then the helicopter kind of flies overhead, and the guy there crewing the station just jumps up and says, "God, great news for you." He said, "They picked your friend up and they're taking him to the hospital and he's okay." Man, was I happy. Never seen somebody so happy in his life, like, okay, where's the hospital? Where's the hospital? Where's the hospital?
Nope. The zip's broken. I'm going to have to cut you.
I remember seeing him walk into the room that I was at, and you could tell without him verbalizing his feeling.
Yo, Larry. You okay?
Lift.
Hey, Saul.
I felt good having Saul there, but you don't leave your buddy. It's not correct. It's just not right to leave someone like that.
You left me.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just glad you're all right.
Yeah, me too.
With who I am, I wanted him not to feel guilty. I wanted him to hopefully be relieved in the fact that I'm okay. Do I hold a grudge against him for doing that? No, I don't.
It's just one of those things, you know, it's like, yeah. The main thing I remember is being so happy to see him. It was like better than any Christmas present is your buddy's still alive.
10 years after their misadventure, Saul and Larry remain friends and have even kayaked together in the San Juan Islands. But they never discuss what happened, nor can they agree if Saul's decision to leave his friend behind was the right thing to do.